What if I told you that the life you've always dreamed of, it isn't some, far-off fantasy, but it's actually the inevitable result of tiny, consistent choices, things you do every single day.
Right, the small stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the power to reshape your relationships or ignite your finances or skyrocket your potential. It isn't about some massive overhaul.
No giant leaps needed usually.
It's about harnessing this incredible force of doing. Just one more thing.
The one more principle.
Get ready. Because today we are diving deep into this really game-changing idea that could unlock some extraordinary results in your life, like starting right now.
Yeah, it's powerful. Think about a single tree. It starts as this tiny seed, right? Almost invisible. But through consistent nourishment, consistent growth, it becomes this, towering giant.
Right, makes sense.
The one more principle, which is really drawn from Ed Mylett's book, The Power of One More, it captures that exact idea.
Oh.
It's about understanding that those seemingly small daily decisions, when they compound over time, they create these monumental shifts.
Okay, so let's really laser focus on this one more idea. What's the core essence of it? What are we really talking about?
Well, at its heart, one more is that conscious decision, to push just a little bit further than you think you can.
Okay.
It's choosing to do, say, one more rep when your body is just screaming to stop.
I know that feeling.
Or making one more call, even when you're feeling that rejection fatigue. It could be waking up 1 hour earlier to invest in yourself. Or, nurturing one more relationship with real intention.
So it applies across the board.
Absolutely. And maybe most importantly, it's investing just one more moment in that unwavering belief.
Yeah.
Belief in your goals, belief in your own capabilities. It's that deliberate step just outside your comfort zone.
So it's not about these huge leaps then. It's more these small, almost imperceptible forward movements. Is it the consistency that's the key?
Exactly right. Think about it. Each one more action or even thought, it might feel pretty insignificant on its own.
Yeah, it does.
But when you consistently stack them up day after day, week after week, well, the cumulative impact becomes truly transformative. Think of a rudder on a massive ship. A tiny adjustment, right? But consistently applied, it changes the entire course.
That's a great analogy.
That's the power of compounding through one more.
Now, this concept of one more try, it sounds, deceptively simple. How does this actually play out, in the real world where we hit roadblocks?
Yeah, one more try is really about recognizing that success isn't usually some sudden event. It's almost always the result of persistent effort, even when progress feels totally invisible.
Okay.
Mylett uses this really powerful analogy. Imagine kids trying to break open a piñata.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right. Each swing, even if it doesn't crack it open right away, it weakens it little by little. But so often, kids just give up right before that final swing, the one that unleashes all the treats inside. It's about that last bit of perseverance,
That image really hits home. I mean, how often do we all feel like we're putting in the work, but the results just aren't showing up?
Yeah.
And that urge to quit just starts creeping in.
Precisely. That candy we're striving for in our lives, whether it's financial breakthrough or that dream career, maybe a fulfilling relationship, peak fitness, whatever it is.
Right.
It often appears right after we commit to that little bit of extra effort, that one more try. It's about pushing through that plateau, that feeling of, oh, this isn't working, because often you're actually closer than you think.
You've got a really compelling real-world example of this from the book, right?
Yeah.
With Bella's story. Can you share that?
Absolutely. So Ed Mylett's daughter, Bella, she really wanted this job at a local pizzeria.
Yeah.
Had a great interview, thought she pretty much had the job secured. But then, they realized she was just under the legal age to serve alcohol, which was apparently a requirement for the role.
Okay.
Totally. She was understandably disappointed. But here's the thing. Instead of just accepting that rejection and going home,
which would have been easy to do.
Very easy. She decided to make one more try. She just walked into a cafe nearby and asked if they happened to be hiring, and guess what? They were. And the age restriction wasn't an issue there. She got the job, right on the spot.
Wow. That's such a fantastic illustration, isn't it? How that tiny bit of extra initiative can completely flip the script.
It really is.
It would have been so easy for her.
Yeah, it does sound intense, but it's not really about reaching physical exhaustion necessarily. It's more about consistently pushing your limits, whatever area you're focused on, pushing so much that you feel you've given, all you currently have. When you continually make that one more effort, you essentially empty your current capacity. Now, this feeling of being empty, it actually creates a kind of mental space that's the ex nihilo out of nothing part.
Ah, I see.
And in that space, new experiences, new goals, even greater efforts can sort of take root. Bruce Lee had that powerful quote, right? Empty your cup so that it may be filled.
Right, I know that one.
It really captures this. It's about reaching that point where you feel you have nothing more to give, which paradoxically makes you ready to be filled with something even greater.
So it's about pushing ourselves to what we think is our limit, just to create space for growth, for new possibilities.
Precisely. By consistently striving for one more, you're essentially expanding your boundaries. You're preparing yourself for levels of achievement you might not currently even believe are possible. You're refusing to settle for where you are today. Imagine pushing yourself in a workout. That feeling of exhaustion.
Yeah.
That's often right before a new level of strength gets unlocked. It's kind of the same principle, just applied to all areas of life.
Okay, this next concept is really intriguing. Bending time. Using this 3 mini days strategy. How can we actually make our days feel longer and more productive?
Yeah.
That sounds counterintuitive.
It does sound a bit unconventional, maybe, but it's a really powerful time management technique. So instead of seeing your waking hours as just one long stretch,
Which is how most of us operate.
right, you intentionally divide them into 3 equal segments, 3 mini days. For instance, maybe like 6 a.m. to noon, then noon to 6 p.m., and then 6 p.m. to midnight, something like that.
Okay.
The psychology behind it is that by creating these shorter days, your mind starts to perceive each minute as more valuable, more finite.
Creates urgency.
Exactly. It naturally increases your sense of urgency and sharpens your focus within that specific time frame.
So it's almost like creating these artificial deadlines throughout the day, just to boost productivity.
You got it. You start to kind of compress your work tasks, your connection time with loved ones, your fitness routines, even your moments of fun into these more concentrated periods. Now, it's not really about sacrificing balance. It's more about consciously eliminating wasted time and maximizing your engagement within each mini day.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like in your first mini day, maybe you tackle your most critical work projects with super intense focus.
Right. Get the hard stuff done.
Then the second mini day could be dedicated to meetings, calls, maybe errands, approached with a renewed sense of urgency because, that mini day clock is ticking. And then the final segment could be fully dedicated to family, personal time, relaxation.
Yeah.
Enjoyed with a greater sense of presence because you've accomplished things earlier.
Yeah, I could see how that could lead to a bigger sense of accomplishment overall. Feeling like you really squeezed the juice out of the day.
Definitely. It can significantly boost that feeling of having truly maximized your day.
Okay, let's shift now to our internal world. You mentioned the concept of an emotional home and actively choosing the emotions we want to experience. How does one more tie into managing our feelings?
Yeah, this is fascinating. Mylett introduces this idea that each of us has an emotional home, right? Like a familiar set of, say, 5 or 6 emotions that we consistently, often unconsciously gravitate towards every day.
Okay, our default settings.
Kind of, yeah. We get conditioned to these familiar feelings, even if they're predominantly negative ones, like worry or frustration or irritation.
Unfortunately, yes.
But individuals who embrace the one more mindset, they tend to take a much more proactive approach to managing this emotional home. They consciously decide which emotions they want to experience regularly.
So they choose their emotional state.
They choose what to focus on cultivating. Yes. By intentionally focusing on building up desired emotions, maybe gratitude, joy, confidence, peace, they essentially activate a filter in their brain. It's called the reticular activating system, or RAS.
RAS, okay, what does that do?
Think of your RAS as like a spotlight for your attention. It focuses on what you tell it is important.
Got it.
So by intentionally focusing on positive emotions, you're basically telling your RAS, hey, look for things that match this feeling. Find experiences, find information, find circumstances that align with gratitude or joy.
And that pushes out the negative stuff.
It effectively diminishes the power of those old, harmful emotional patterns. It helps replace them.
So it's really about taking conscious control of our inner landscape, isn't it? Rather than just being like bounced around by external circumstances.
Yes, precisely. It's understanding that while we can't always control what happens to us, we absolutely have the power to choose our response and to cultivate the emotional environment that's going to best support our growth and well-being.
That feels empowering.
It is. It's an active choice. It's a conscious, one more decision to focus on the positive, to manage your internal state.
This leads nicely into the power of self-reflection then. Asking ourselves these impactful one more questions. What are some examples of those kinds of questions that can drive positive change?
Yeah, these are small but honestly incredibly powerful questions you can just weave into your daily routine. They spark self-improvement, they deepen relationships.
Okay, like what?
Some examples from the book that really stand out are things like, what one more thing can I do today to show my spouse or partner that I love and appreciate them?
Yeah, that's good.
Or, how can I make one more effort to truly connect with my children today?
Yeah.
Is there one more small gesture I can make a family member feel more special? Simple stuff.
Right.
And when facing challenges, maybe a crucial one more question is, what is one more small step I can take right now towards resolving this? Not solving the whole thing, just one step.
It feels like these questions are designed to cut through all the noise, all the overwhelm, and just prompt immediate, meaningful action. Is that the idea?
That's exactly the idea. Asking these targeted one more questions forces you to pause, right? To reflect on what truly matters in that moment, and then identify concrete, actionable steps you can take immediately to improve yourself or strengthen your connections with the people you care about most. It's like a consistent, gentle nudge towards living with greater intention and purpose.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the crucial role of setting higher standards. How does that fit in with achieving our goals through this one more philosophy?
Yeah, this is key. Mylett argues really powerfully that setting ambitious goals without also establishing equally high standards, well, that's often just a recipe for frustration.
Why is that?
Because goals are often external, right? The outcome might depend on factors beyond our direct control. Standards, however, they are entirely internal.
Okay, define standards in this context.
Standards represent what you demand of yourself. The level of effort you're unwilling to compromise on, the quality of work you consistently produce regardless of the outcome.
Okay.
Think about the legendary football coach, Nick Saban. He famously said something like, we'll practice this until we can't get it wrong.
Yeah, I've heard that. Intense.
Super intense. But that's the embodiment of next level standards. It's not about just getting it right occasionally. It's about achieving a level of mastery where anything less is just unacceptable to you.
So our personal standards are like the bedrock, the foundation upon which lasting success is built.
Absolutely. They're the driving force behind consistently applying the one more principle in the first place.
How so?
Well, when you raise your personal standards in any area of your life, your work, your health, your relationships, you naturally push yourself to go that extra mile, to make that one more attempt, to invest that unwavering belief.
Because your standard demands it.
Exactly. Your standards dictate what you find acceptable. And when your standards are high, doing one more becomes the norm, not the exception.
Right. Okay, wow. We've really taken a deep dive into this transformative power of the one more principle. Now, for you, the listener, let's get down to brass tacks. What are some actionable steps you can take, like today, to start your journey of becoming just 1% better?
Okay, yeah, let's make it real. First, start right now. Identify one specific task or area, maybe in your work, your health, your relationships, where you can consciously choose to do one more today.
Just one thing.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's sending one more email when you feel like quitting, completing one more set in your workout, or having one more truly focused conversation with a loved one, no phone.
Okay, good. What else?
Second, pick one of those one more relationship questions we talked about. Ask it yourself. But more importantly, commit to taking immediate action based on the answer you find. Don't just think about it.
Act on it. Got it.
And finally, take just a moment today to reflect on your current standards in one key area of your life and identify just one small way you can raise that standard starting this very moment. Maybe it's how you prepare for a meeting or how present you are during dinner.
These are powerful and, immediately applicable steps. And as we bring this deep dive to a close, just remember this. The extraordinary life you envision, it's probably not built on monumental, once-in-a-lifetime achievement.
Not usually, no.
It's built on the consistent accumulation of those small, seemingly insignificant, one more decisions you make every single day. So embrace the power of that extra step, that extra effort, that extra moment of belief.
Yeah. Your potential really is limitless. It's just waiting to be unleashed.
One more choice at a time.